Hi everyone, thanks for coming to my channel. I'm Bella. In today's video, I'd like to continue with one of our previous topics about language exposure, specifically in my own language learning journey. So if you're interested, please keep watching. In my previous video, I mainly talked about how we can imitate the accents and the proper pronunciations of the news broadcasters. And if you want the link to the previous video, I have attached it down below in my description box. In today's video, I'd like to talk about the acquisition of habits of speech. And by habits of speech, I more so refer to something like fluency, pauses, intonation, colloquial phrases and sentence structures, and things like that. And you may notice that I didn't include vocabulary in there, and that's because personally, I don't believe that you need an overly extensive vocabulary to be able to speak English well. Instead, with commonly used words and phrases, I believe most of us would be able to express ourselves very well and accurately in most cases. What we should be learning is to use these commonly used vocabulary and use them towards expressing complicated ideas and learn how to maximize the usage of them in daily conversations. But how can you acquire these native habits of speech? And that is through exposing yourself to an authentic English-speaking environment. And no, I don't necessarily mean going to an English-speaking country for university or to live there. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I find we get a lot better exposure simply by watching English shows than actually living in an English-speaking country. We can learn and imitate those habits of speech by trying to repeat what native speakers say and how they say it. When I was at the university, I started off with watching these really short interviews, clips. They were usually about 3 to 5 minutes long. I would watch them repetitively, initially with subtitles and later on without, because it would force me to try to understand every single thing they were saying. And later on, one of my university instructors actually recommended quite a few different talk shows to me, including a few stand-up comedies. And they were really hard to understand, especially without subtitles. As we all would agree that in order to see if a person is really good with a particular language, we could try to find out if he understands a joke told in that particular language. And it's the same with these stand-up comedies. There are a lot of cultural contexts hidden in these conversations that it may take a little bit of research on our part to find out what a particular phrase or what a particular story refers to. But I do believe the time we spend in doing those research would be worthwhile, because understanding those cultural contexts will be the thing to set you apart from the crowd, especially when you are engaged in a conversation with a native speaker. And I find that it's a lot easier for you to connect with them with that common knowledge. The one show that has been extremely helpful in my language learning is Friends. And I'm sure a lot of you would select that as your favorite show as well. I have not yet found another language learning resource material that delivers nearly as much value as the show Friends does. And to this day, I'm still watching it over and over again because there's just so much to learn. Because the storyline follows 6 friends in their life, work, and relationships, you cannot find a single conversation in the whole show that happens out of context. That means every line in the show is worth learning. And I would encourage you to even imitate some of the intonation that the actors use as well, because even though they may sound a little bit exaggerated in the show, they can be really funny. They can even become your own signature line sometimes. And that's what happened to me. I still remember a lot of things that Monica said that I kind of took it as my own, and later on became something really personal to me as well. I remember at the university, I would watch the show over and over again until I remember every line. And then I would try to repeat all the lines in exact same intonation, pauses, and however this particular line was said, trying to say it exactly the same way that the actor or the actresses did. I remember I would convert all of the episodes into MP3 format so that I can listen to them while walking to classrooms every day. And that had really helped as well, because now that I was familiar with the plot, I knew exactly what was happening when the actor or the actress was saying that particular line. Back then, I felt like I was a sponge, and I feel like I was so eager to try to suck every bit of information out of the show and burn it into my brain. And I'm glad that I did that, because it has proved to be immensely effective. Till this day, whenever people ask, oh, how did you practice your English skills? How did you practice your spoken English? I'd always say one word: friends. And that's exactly what happened. I was not exaggerating. That was exactly how I learned the commonly used phrases and sentence structures, how I was able to straighten out the fluency of my speech. The tip I would give about learning with the show is to make sure that you watch the episodes over and over again, so that not only can you recite every line, but also you understand exactly when and why that particular line is being used. Once again, as I've mentioned, the context is really important. We are no longer at a stage where we are simply learning the vocabulary and learning the meaning of it. We also need to learn how to use those vocabulary and sentence structures accurately, whether in a formal or informal situations. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day and sit down with me for a chat. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment area down below. I will try my best to answer all of them for you as soon as I can. And if there's anything else you would like me to talk about, feel free to leave that down below as well. Thank you once again for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Till next time.